Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Coach Ryan. This is part two of the basics of exercise. The focus will be resistance training today. If you're tuning in later on, either later in the day or another day or on YouTube, it's about 4:58 right now. I'll probably get started with the talk at around the 2-minute mark if you want to skip toward that mark. Just starting the video a little bit early just to give people a chance to kind of find the video, check in. If you're joining me live, welcome. Good evening. Happy Hour Friday. If you have your drinks with you, that's fine. You drink up. I don't really care what you drink. So I got my water. But you can have whatever you want to. No judgment here. It's Friday night. We're all in the house, right? Drink what you want. YOLO, right? Is that what the kids say? YOLO, you only live once. So drink up if you want to, but hopefully soak up the information too if you're having a few cocktails while you're watching this. There you go. I see Allison, you're watching. Hey, Allison. Hope you're doing well. We're going to get started in a little bit. There we go. Cheers, Lisa. Yep, I got well, it looks like water. You actually don't know what I have in here, so, so that'll just be my little secret. Hopefully, if you all watched part one, yesterday's part one was aerobic exercise. So hopefully if you watched it, you have a little something. You got a little something out of that discussion yesterday if you watched it. So hopefully you'll get a little bit of something out of this one as well. All right. I got 5 o'clock on my watch, so I'll go ahead and get started with today's workshop. Again, good evening. This is part two of the basics of exercise. The focus will be resistance training. A couple things before we get started. If you have questions, just type them in the comment box and I'll try to take note of them and try to answer any questions that you may have at the end. Expect this talk to be around the same length as yesterday's part one. If you were here for yesterday, it was around 45 minutes. Typically, these workshops are a half an hour to 45 minutes long, depending on what questions we have, what tangents I go off on. This is my wheelhouse, resistance training, so I love talking about this. So this will be about 30 to 45 minutes long. Again, if you have questions, type them in the comment box, and I'll look out for them and try to answer any questions that you may have at the end if I didn't get through them through the talk. But today, again, part two of basics of exercise resistance training. ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine, recommends 2 to 3 days a week of all the major muscle groups for strength training or resistance training. I'll use resistance training and strength training interchangeably. So if I say resistance training, or if I say strength training, or if I say weight training, probably I mean the same thing. So resistance training, but I may interchange that between strength training and weight training. Resistance training, what is it? So let's define it real quick. Resistance training is the use of resistance to muscular contraction to build the strength and anaerobic endurance and the size of the skeletal muscles. So as opposed to yesterday we focused on aerobic training, which focuses on the cardiorespiratory systems of the body. Resistance training focuses on the skeletal muscle system or the musculoskeletal system in the body. Now, why is strength training important? It's important for me to hit these whys because with Orange Theory and with most people with their at-home routines, or if they're not under the guidance of personal trainers or coaches, most people will tend to opt toward cardio. They'll opt toward running, walking, jogging, swimming, whatever. Just because cardio is probably a little bit more simpler to do in terms of thinking and actually what to do. So people who aren't under the guidance of a coach or a personal trainer will tend to opt toward resistance training on their own or in their own at-home routine. So hopefully this talk will give you a little bit of guidance of what to do, not under the guidance of a coach, trainer, or if you're not doing the OTF at-home workouts. So why do we need it? Why is strength training important, and why we all need it? I'll just go through a couple of the benefits of resistance training. Improve strength and tone. Okay, that protects your joints from injury. Okay, it maintains flexibility, balance. Okay, it helps you remain independent as you age. Weight management. So the more strength training that you do, or more resistance training that you do, the more you build lean body mass. Okay, lean body mass increases your muscle to fat ratio in your body. The more lean body mass you have, the more calories you burn naturally at rest and during your activities. So building lean mass is a good thing. Okay, so that's why we need resistance training. You have an increased performance in your daily activities. So even if you're not training for a race, sport, whatever, strength training will help you in your daily activities. Decrease your risk of injury, increase mobility and balance, okay? Increase self-esteem, increased bone density. So that's important because we want to have higher bone density, especially as we age, because that helps to prevent the risk of osteoporosis later on in life. Also with strength training, you increase the prevention and control of diseases like diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, back pain, obesity, depression, all that stuff. All those things are important, team, and all those things are reasons why that we need strength training. I'll kind of hone in on some of the cardio always people, not to pick on runners, but runners tend to not do strength training as much, but it will benefit you, okay? Like we do inclines on strength days in Orange Theory in the studio. Strengthening your glutes and hamstrings will help you to be better runners, okay? It will help you in your daily activities. Core strength, okay? Strengthen your legs. That will help you to become better, more efficient runners, okay? That doesn't go for just runners, but swimmers, rowers, baseball players, soccer players, everybody. Everybody benefits from strength training, which is why, or resistance training, again, I'll use those terms interchangeably. That's why it's so important to do it, team. Okay. Orange Theory workouts, definitely the workouts in the studio will take care of all the strength training programming for you. If you are doing the OTF at home workouts 3 or 4 days a week, your strength training or resistance training requirements are taken care of for you. This talk is for those who want to get a little bit more creative with their at-home workouts in terms of resistance training, or even if you're traveling, you're going on the road, well, eventually when you're able to travel and go on the road after we work through this period, right? And you're in a hotel or you're in a hotel room, you don't have access to a studio on the road, you're not close to a studio, you won't have time to go to a studio, maybe you just have a hotel gym, you don't know what to do, you want to add some resistance training to your routine. Okay, hopefully this talk will help you to be able to program some of that in your own routine. Okay, so I want to go through a couple principles. This talk shouldn't take as long as yesterday's session. I kind of hit some points. I'll even do a couple demonstrations to give you some ideas of what exercises and what equipment that you can use. But this shouldn't take as long as yesterday. So when in terms of what to consider when programming or developing your own resistance training routine at home or on the road, wherever, consider your needs. Okay, one, most of us, we need total body, okay? So consider that. Everybody needs total body in some way, shape, or form, okay? Balance is important. Consider balance, okay? Are you working just arms? Are you working just legs? Okay, a lot of people, they tell me, and I have a lot of experience being a personal trainer, oh, I want to tone my arms, so they only tone their arms, okay? Or, oh, I want to look good on the beach. I want my legs to look good on the beach, and I want to just work my legs. You're going to need balance, team. Okay? Number one, that will help you in terms of performance of your daily activities and your workouts, but also balance in terms of how you look. So yes, we may want to focus in on some things, but we want to have balance and make sure we're training the entire body. Your goals, that's kind of something that I hit on. You can emphasize some things. Okay, you can emphasize your arms a little bit. You can emphasize your legs a little bit if that's your goal, but you should still have that balance, team. Your in-body scan is a very helpful tool in terms of your own needs. So the lean segmental analysis that you have in your app for the in-body scan, especially everybody who've done the transformation challenge, look at that. Okay, that will give you an idea, the percentage that you see with every segment. That will give you an idea of where you fall relative to the normal population with people, your height, gender, and age. Maybe you're in a lower percentile, so maybe you want to bring that up a little bit, that particular body part, arms, legs, whatever have you. Maybe you had an injury on a particular limb. Maybe you broke, maybe you sprained your ankle, messed up your leg somehow, and one leg, because of that injury, one leg's muscle mass is a little bit less than the other side. So that may be a way to kind of tune in and cue in on that side to bring that up to balance with the other side. Okay. Also, when thinking about programming your own routine, know your options. Every exercise has an option. So just like in the studio where we present options to you guys, every exercise has an option, whether it's lightening the weight, another exercise, hitting the same muscle group, reducing the range of motion, tweaking your range of motion here or there. Everything has an option, team. So know your options. If you don't know your options, make sure you reach out to your coaches if you're in the studio or at your at-home workouts, or reach out to me, team, or any other fitness professional. Okay? Exercise selection, in terms of what exercises to do, things you want to consider in terms of exercise selection. Consider your equipment, what you can use for resistance training or strength training. Body weight, meaning you don't need anything, any extra equipment but your body. Some of you may be fortunate enough to have TRX straps or suspension straps in your home gym, or dumbbells or weights, benches, okay, barbells. Some of you have bands, resistance bands, not the mini bands, okay, those are included, but I'm talking about the resistance bands that have handles where you can use them for the upper body and legs as well. Also, team, if you've been doing the at-home workouts, you don't need to buy weights. You could use everyday household objects, or maybe not everyday things that you have in your house or apartment or whatever. And I'll go through a little demonstration. I happen to be in the studio, so during my demonstration that I'll go through in a little bit, I picked some items that I have around my house, not the dumbbells inside the studio, but I have some items that I picked out that I just found around the studio that I'll use for the demonstration. Okay. So consider the time that you have available. An effective workout doesn't take long. You can get an effective resistance training workout 15, 20 minutes. Okay. When I trained bodybuilding, my longest workouts were probably an hour. And that was when I was training 5, 6, even 7 days a week at some points, training for a bodybuilding show. So the excuse in terms of personal training experience that I've had, I don't have time. A lot of us, we can find 15, 20 minutes, and that's really all you need. If you program it correctly, that's really all you need for an effective resistance training workout, 15, 20 to 30 minutes. So consider your time, consider when you can do it, but it doesn't take a lot of time for an effective resistance training workout. What muscle groups to emphasize? Again, I talked about full body. Okay? Your bang for your buck movements are your multi-joint movements. Movements that work across multiple joints, movements that work multiple muscle groups. So larger movements, squats, deadlift, squat to press, those type of movements. Those are big bang for your buck movements. Including those more in your routine will help you to get a more total body workout in a short amount of time. Single joint movements like bicep curls, tricep extensions, calf raises, movements that work across a single joint and are focusing in on a single muscle group. Those type of movements, those are movements that we will use to emphasize particular areas that we may want to emphasize, like, hey, I want nice arms, or hey, I want to tone up my calves, or whatever. We can use those single joint movements to kind of isolate those muscles and hone in on it. But everybody should be including some multi-joint movements in their routine, because those are the bang for your buck movements. Are you balancing, okay, your routine with opposing muscle groups? Okay, so this again goes to the point where you don't want to work just chest, all right? You don't want to work just back. You don't want to work just your quads. Okay, for example, people who work just the push muscles, chest, front part of your shoulder, triceps. A lot of guys, or a lot of people in general, I should say, I shouldn't just limit it to guys. A lot of people will focus on the push movements, the chest, front part of the shoulder, the triceps, neglecting the pull muscles, the biceps, the back part of your shoulder, okay? That imbalance, working your chest, your push muscles, working that more so than your pull muscles, that will affect your posture. That will tend to have you hunched over in your posture team. So working those posterior muscles, those pull muscles, again, keeps the belly in balance, and will help to keep your posture upright as opposed to hunched over if you're just working those push muscles. With the legs, quad focused movements, squats, everybody loves to squat, but those squats are focusing on the quad, front part of your leg. Deadlifts, okay, where you hinge at the waist, that focuses on the back of your legs, your hamstrings. So we don't want to just work squats, the front part of the leg. We want to work the back part. Again, that goes with posture, and that goes with increased performance in your daily activities and workouts, and decreased chance of injury. Imbalances in the body, okay, increases our risk for injury. So that's a real big, if anything else, okay, think about injury prevention in terms of balancing your resistance training routine. Frequency, like I said at the top, 2 to 3 days a week. If you're doing the OTF at-home workouts 3 to 4 days a week on different days, okay, and not cherry picking the workouts, you're just doing 3 to 4 days a week on the OTF at-home workouts, or same thing when we open up, when you're in the studio, that programming will be taken care of for you, okay? But if you're at home, you want to add some variety to your routine, 2 to 3 days a week, again, full body focus, train smart, okay? Train smart, consider what else you're doing. If you're doing a lot of cardio, maybe you're doing cardio 4 to 5 days out of the week, you may want to program at least a couple of your resistance training sessions on days where you don't do the cardio, or on days where your cardio efforts are a little bit lighter, okay? Also, if you had a big cardio day where your legs are sore, okay, you may want to not go as hard on the legs. Still work them a little bit, but again, train smart, team. Consider your time, your schedule. Also consider what else that you're doing in your routine. If you have any questions about that, okay, make sure to comment or reach out to me after the session is over, okay? Exercise order, okay? Exercise order in your routine. You want to think big to small, or you want to think what gets my most bang for my buck first, and then think the smaller single joint movements or targeted isolated movements last. Why? Fatigue, okay? We don't want to start out doing our smaller muscle groups first, okay, or bicep curls first, or hamstring curls first, or leg extensions first, okay? That fatigues us to when we have to do larger movements like squats or deadlifts, or if we're doing power moves like snatches or clean the press, okay? We don't want to be fatigued for those movements. Those movements, those larger movements, those multi-joint movements, those give us the biggest bang for our buck in terms of the muscle mass it works and the caloric effect. We don't get a lot of calorie burn with resistance training, but when we have those larger movements, we do get a bigger bang for your buck in terms of calories burned with larger movements like squats, deadlifts, or power exercises, clean the press, snatch, versus the bicep curl, which doesn't burn a lot of calories at all because it only works a small amount of muscle mass. So in your order, think your power moves first. Power moves like weighted clean the press, snatches, okay? Then your multi-joint movements, squats, squat the press, squat the curl, okay? And then your single joint movements. So think power or a multi-joint to smaller movements, big to small in terms of your exercise order and how you program your routine. Again, that goes with the fatigue factor. You don't want to be fatigued for those larger muscle movements. Again, the more or the fresher you are, the better you'll perform in those movements. You'll get more bang for your buck in terms of muscle mass work. You'll expend more calories, and you'll limit your chance of injury. Okay, the more fatigued we are, our form starts to fade a little bit. And you want to have pristine form or close to pristine form for those larger muscle groups or those larger movements. So save those at the start, smaller movements or target or isolated movements at the end of your workout. As a tip, okay, when programming your routine, think about opposing muscle groups, push, pull, okay, upper body, lower body, okay? So for example, let's just say I start out my routine, let's just say I'm doing an upper body routine. Okay, I start with chest press for my 10 reps. Next set or next exercise, maybe I go to a pull movement, an exercise for my back, like dumbbell low rows. Okay, I continue to work. I'm working those larger movements and I'm giving my chest muscles that optimal recovery while I continue to work the opposing muscle groups. So I'm getting balance, I'm still working, and I'm giving each muscle group proper recovery. That way I can stay aggressive with weight and I can keep my form. Okay, or push-pull movements or different like upper body. I can go upper body, lower body. So I can do a squat first, then I can go chest press, working a larger muscle group, or a pull-up, something like that. That's another trick you can do in terms of your order, but still focusing on big to small. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to try to move on. But if you have any questions about that, team, please feel free to comment. But in your order, think big to small in your order. Power movements, multi-joint movements, going all the way to the single joint or isolated movements. Okay. Now, a little bit of the meat and potatoes that I want to get into, team. Load, training load, reps, sets, volume, all that good stuff. How many sets do I do? What weight do I use? Those are the big common questions in terms of programming resistance training routines. So a couple terms that I'll define. Load is the amount of weight or the amount of resistance. So when I refer to load, I mean a 15-pound dumbbell or a heavy weight or a lightweight or object. That's what I mean by load. Volume is the total number of reps that you do. So total number of reps, that equals the amount of sets that I do times the number of reps per set. That's the total number of reps. That's what I mean by volume. And I'll go frequency a lot. Frequency is the amount of days per week that you do in your routine. So just like yesterday's session, if you were here with me yesterday for the aerobic session, as intensity of your aerobic exercise goes up, duration comes down. That's just the way the body works, no matter who you are. As intensity goes up, duration comes down. Same thing with resistance training. As your load or the amount of resistance or weight that you have goes up, your volume, the amount of sets and reps goes down, okay? That's just the way the body works, and that's a smart way to program because it helps you to prevent you from hurting yourself. Now, we all know ESP, endurance, strength, power, okay? When we're at home, I know a few of you are fortunate enough to have home gyms equipped with dumbbells, straps. A lot of us don't have that, okay? So most of the household items that we have at home are gonna be lighter than a dumbbell equipped gym, right? The studio or home gyms that people may have. So the stuff that we have available to us for a lot of us tends to be just body weight or our household objects that we have. And again, those objects tend to be lighter than the dumbbells that we have inside the studio, inside gyms. So I'll go through endurance, strength, and power, and then I'll go through a little demo with some household items, household things that I have at the studio that aren't dumbbells. So we all know endurance rep count with Orange Theory, reps of 12 to 20 per round or per set. Strength, okay, reps of 6 to 10, and with those lower reps, with, like I said, okay, load and volume inverse relationship. So the volume has gone down with strength, 6 to 10 reps. So that means with strength days or strength emphasis, we take up the load or the weight that we use. And power, okay, power, explosive movements like the clean the press, snatch, etc. Okay, power reps, 6 to 12. Weights are, the load is in that moderate level for that. Okay, now, again, like I said, I'll go through a little demo real quick in terms of household items that I found at the studio and what I can do to manipulate my workout. And I'll kind of give you a demo on what a full body workout would be without using any dumbbells or weights. So what I have here, my household items, again, my house is the studio, but I'm excluding the dumbbells inside the studio. I have 2 water bottles here for my lighter objects, and for my medium or heavier object, I have the pack of wipes. Okay, most of you have things at home that are comparable to those things that I just brought out. Now, for an endurance rep count, you know, reps of 12 to 20 or even a little bit more. Let's just say I want to work my shoulders, my delts. Okay? So with my water bottle, a lateral raise could be an example of an exercise for the shoulders. Okay, now these weights are lighter, right? So my rep count, if I want to focus on an endurance type of session, okay, I could do these 20, 30 reps, really burn the muscles out. Now, let's just say I want to focus a little bit more on strength. Well, my load hasn't changed, all right? I still have these water bottles, and I still want to do lateral raises as an isolation movement in my strength routine. What can I do? A little trick. We do it all the time at the Orange Theory workouts in the studio and at home. Tempo, okay? Time under tension. The longer the reps go, the more muscle fibers you recruit, okay? And then you can kind of go towards that endurance, you can go towards that strength level. So, same exercise, same load. A trick that I can do to make these reps a little bit tougher and to recruit a little bit more muscle fiber to go toward that strength side of things, team. Tempo, I can make my reps a lot slower. Here we go. Lateral raise, 1 count up, I pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts down. 1 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, as opposed to an endurance day, where I can rep it out, 20, 30 reps, I do this rep count and style for long enough. Team, when I get to about that 6 or 7 rep range, it's gonna start to burn a little bit slowing that rep count down. I could slow it down even further to make it tougher. So time under tension is a very cool trick where you can make household objects that are light a lot heavier. So let's take my medium object or my heavier object, okay? My wipes. Again, a lot of you will have household objects that are probably comparable to something like this, all right? Full body routine, what do I wanna do? Well, again, I talked about going big to small, okay? So let's just say I'm gonna start with the largest muscle group in my body, my legs. So I can keep this at chest level. I can squat. 1, 2, 3 counts down, pause, 1 count up. I can even go 5 counts down, pause, 1 count up. This weight is a lot lighter than what I would use in terms of dumbbells in the studio. However, if I use that time under tension and I do these for enough reps, this is going to start to feel heavier, okay? Now, squats for the quads. What did I say about balance? We don't want to just focus on the front part of the leg. We want to hit the back part of the leg as well. I can do the same thing, okay? Using my load, using time under tension for the deadlift. Hinging at the waist, back flat, emphasizing the glutes and hamstrings, okay? Big to small. I can take my same weight, okay? Let's just say I want to work toward the bigger muscle groups. I want to go chest and back, push, pull. I can use that same strategy, 1, 2, 3 counts down for a low row to hit my back. I won't go because you won't be able to see me, but I can do the same thing with a chest press. So let's just pretend that I'm lying on the floor, 2, 3 down, 1 count up, emphasizing the chest. All right, let's go smaller. Shoulders, my deltoid muscles. I could take that same object, shoulder press. 1 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Hit the deltoids, okay? Oh, all right, I hit my chest, I hit my back, I hit my shoulders, I hit the legs, okay? What about my arms? I could take the same object, bicep curl. 1, 2, 3 counts down. For the biceps, same thing, elbows in. 1, 2, 3, 1 count up, overhead tricep extension. I hit my arms, my chest, back, okay? What about my core? I can keep this same thing. I can get on the floor for a seated torso rotation, or I can wood chop, okay? Focusing on the rotational element, but I just did a full body routine, okay, with this object. So you can get creative team. And again, depending on my time under tension, I can make that an endurance rep count. I can make that a strength rep count with time under tension. So again, you don't need weights or a whole lot of objects to get a full body resistance routine. Like I said, I just did one with one object. Again, if you have any questions, okay, please feel free to comment on the page. Okay, so I wanted to do that, okay, to talk about volume, okay? Volume is total weight, load, sets, reps, okay? So the biggest question that I get, how many sets, how many reps, what do I do, okay? And this is one, I won't have a little board that I had yesterday for the aerobic exercise session. So if you want to write something down, here's a warning, grab a pen and paper if you want to write something down here, because I'm going to give you some numbers. Single sets versus multiple sets. Single sets are beneficial for people who are very new to exercise and or maximal load lifts, okay? So if you're trying to max out or get close to max reps, or max weight, single sets like power lifters, for example, single sets will be beneficial for you. Now, most of us don't have, like I said, most of us don't have the amount of weight available to us to where a single set of an exercise will be very beneficial. So multiple sets is what I would recommend to you all. Research shows that 3 sets of 10 reps for an exercise enhances strength better than one set of 8 to 12. Okay, so multiple sets is the way to go. Okay, now this is where you want to have your pen and paper ready. Okay, your goal. I'm going to give you different goals and a different set and rep scheme breakdown. An endurance focused type of session, 2 to 3 sets, reps of 12 or more. So again, I talked about that relationship between your load and your sets and reps, your volume, okay? With those higher reps and 2 to 3 sets, multiple sets, your weight or the amount of resistance that you use will be lower. Strength. Okay, why do we need strength? Big thing, personal training, the biggest probably resistance that I've gotten to resistance training is I don't want to get big and bulky. Okay. Well, Orange Theory, if you're doing the Orange Theory workouts, we're not in the business of getting you big and bulky. There's a strategy to get big and bulky. If you are getting big and bulky from resistance training when you're trying not to, something's going wrong. You need to talk to an exercise professional. But you need strength, team. Getting stronger, building more lean body mass helps you in your daily activities. And like I told you in the beginning, the more lean body mass you have, the more calories that you burn at rest and during your workouts. So more lean body mass, more muscle mass is a good thing. Okay. Hopefully a lot of you saw that in your in-body scans if you did the transformation challenge. But strength, 2 to 3 sets of 6 or fewer reps. So there, where we decrease the rep count, we increase the load or the amount of resistance that we use. Power movements, snatch, okay, clean the press, movements like that, explosiveness, multi-joint movements. Ground the press is another example. 3 to 5 sets, okay, 3 to 5 reps. Your weight is in the moderate level because the power movements are multi-joint and they will probably have a little bit more of a metabolic demand than some of the traditional endurance and strength movements. And I will highlight this, but again, we're not in the business of this, but some people do want to build their muscles and get a little bit bigger. What do we call that? Increase in muscle size, hypertrophy. So a hypertrophy goal, 3 to 6 sets, reps of 6 to 12. And again, your weight should be moderate to that heavy level. Rest. When to rest, how to rest, depending on your particular goal. Endurance, okay, where your load is lighter, 30 seconds or less. All right? 30 seconds or less, you don't need a lot of recovery time with the lighter loads with endurance-focused resistance training. Strength and power, okay, where the demands are higher, where the load is higher, that is where you'll need more rest. Strength and power, 2 to 5 minutes. So on the weight floor, when we're inside the studio, on strength days, you'll hear me preach a lot to take as much rest as you need, okay, especially during a strength day inside the studio. It's not about your calorie burn in resistance training. Like I told you at the top, resistance training does not burn a lot of calories, team. The object isn't calorie burn when it comes to strength training. The object is the skeletal muscle system, all right, focusing on that lean body mass. So when we have a strength rep count, strength load, your body is going to need to recover. Yesterday's session, I talked about the energy systems. The energy system that replenishes the body's, that helps the body out for strength training, short bursts. It needs a little bit of time to replenish and recover. So you're gonna need to take that time, team, in a strength session. Power, again, if you're focusing on cleans, okay, if you're familiar with the Olympic lifts, you know, jerk, clean and jerk, all that stuff, again, you're gonna need recovery time, 2 to 5 minutes. hypertrophy, building your muscles or getting bigger, increasing your muscle size, rests in that 30 to 90 second range. Now, most of us don't have, like I said, most of us don't have the weights available to us at home to elicit the recovery period necessary for 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. So even if you're focusing a little bit more on strength, I would imagine most of you probably don't have a lot of heavy weight available to you. So I would go for most of your sessions, team. I would probably go somewhere in that 60 to 2-minute range, so 1 to 2 minute range for most days. Again, if it's an endurance focused day, 30 seconds or less. But if I were to give kind of a catch-all for most of you at home, I would say in that 1 to 2 minute range. Anything longer, again, I don't think most of you aren't doing 1 rep max lifts. Most of you probably aren't doing a lot of the Olympic style lifts on your own. So that's why I say as a catch-all, a 1 to 2 minute rest range. Again, if you're focusing more on endurance, 30 seconds or less. If you're having a strength day where you are using heavier objects or heavier weights, in that 60 second to 2 minute range. That is kind of all I have in terms of what I wanted to go through to get all that info out there. Hopefully, if you watched it all the way through, hopefully you got something out of this, and hopefully I answered some few questions, team. But if I go back to the top, if I kind of circle back real quick, we need resistance training. Again, resistance training kind of gets is kind of the redheaded stepchild in terms of what to do or what is done when people are training at home or training on their own. Mainly because they don't know what to do. So that's why this talk here is important. But again, if I go through the reasons one more time why strength training is so important. Improve muscle strength and tone to protect your joints from injury, maintaining flexibility and balance, okay, to help you remain independent as you age. Increase performance of your workouts and your daily activities, decrease chance of injury, increase mobility and balance, increase self-esteem. We all want to feel good because we look good, right? When people say, I want to tone up, coach, I want to tone up. Toning up is losing body fat and gaining lean body mass or gaining muscle mass, okay? Aerobic training will burn the calories that will aid in that fat loss. The resistance training primarily will help in that other part, gaining lean body mass. That's why it's important. Increasing your bone density, okay? Resistance training increases bone density that will help to prevent osteoporosis as we age and other chronic diseases and situations. It helps to prevent diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, back pain, depression, obesity. All these things are why resistance training is important, team. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs it. Runners, rowers, soccer players, everybody. Even if you're not playing a sport, the benefit of your daily activities should be enough reason by itself to resistance train, okay? And if you are a runner or if you are in a particular sport, resistance training will help you to get better at that event or at that activity. Again, if you are doing the OTF at home workouts, a lot of what I talked about is already programmed into those workouts. If you are doing the workouts at least 2 to 3 times a week, but this is something to where, hey, I want a little bit more flexibility or creativity, or if you find yourselves on the road, in a hotel, not close to a studio, don't have access to a studio, and you don't know what to do, hopefully this talk helped you out a little bit. So I will stay on for a couple minutes to see any questions that you may have. Chris, you're not quite ready for the Olympics, not yet. You know, couple months and we'll get you there. Okay. But If you have any questions, team, again, shoot them out there on the comments. Again, this will be posted on our Facebook page. And if you didn't catch all of it, it will be posted on the YouTube channel as well within the next hour. So let's see. I gotta see more of this long comment here. Well, you're very welcome, Allison. I'm glad that these talks or these things helps you. I'm glad that you get something out of it, and I'm glad that it helps you to stay connected with us a little bit. Fingers crossed, we'll start to make plans to reopen. We have a call Monday about reopening plans, so hopefully it'll be coming down the pike pretty soon where we'll start to get some reopening plans coming at you. But I'm glad that these things help you all out as we continue to work while we are closed. But like I said, hopefully we'll start to get some plans to reopen soon. Yes, you're welcome. Kristen, you're welcome. Chris, you're welcome. Again, this was posted on the page later, and it will be on the YouTube channel in a little bit. So it looks like not too many questions popping up. So I will wrap it up. You're welcome, Cezanne. I will wrap it up. But again, if you have any other questions that you may think of after I end the live video, or if you watch it later and you have questions, comment on it. Comment on the YouTube page, because I get those alerts faster. The Facebook alerts can get it lost a little bit with all the other alerts that I get. So if you watch this later, go comment. If you have a question, go comment on the YouTube video, because I'll get that alert in a separate notification. So I'll see that faster and right away. So hopefully you got something out of this. We have 2 more parts. We have part 3 is flexibility. Part 4 is neuromuscular or balance. I'm thinking I'll probably do part 3 Monday and part 4 Tuesday. So look out for those announcements. But part 3 is flexibility. Part 4 is balance. I'll probably do those Monday and Tuesday. Thanks a lot for all of you that joined me. Again, I hope you got something out of it, and I will see you soon.